Hi. I had a baby. I haven't posted a video in a really long time, and at this point I'm not going to make any promises about consistent posting or anything like that, or even hopes and dreams for consistent posting. If there ends up being some sort of consistency, then that's amazing. If not, it's here. If you want to watch it, cool. This is just kind of where my life is at the moment. As a new mom again, there are a lot of things that are very different this time around. My older son is 13, so I wasn't expecting to ever have another baby, and he's here and I love him and I wouldn't change it for the world. Because it has been a really long time, there's a lot of things that have changed. I want to share a lot of that experience with you because as someone whose only experience being a new mom was 13 years ago, an entire decade ago, there were a lot of things that were really confusing to me and new, and I felt like I was starting over and things I didn't remember, and I turned to YouTube for a lot of it. Some of it I couldn't find. Everything that I was finding was new moms who were in their early 20s like I was when I first did it. While most of being a new mom has nothing to do with age, I did feel a disconnect in the channels that I was watching and the people that I was watching and my experience as someone who is 37 now. I was 36 at conception and 37 when I had him. With my first son, I was 24 when I had him. So the life experience that I have had has, put me in a different position than I was back then. I feel like recording my experience and putting it on YouTube might be helpful to some other moms. And so the first thing that I really think is important to share with you is just kind of my experience as someone who was considered advanced maternal age with a geriatric pregnancy. When my OB told me basically that I was considered old for having a baby, and she first told me the phrase geriatric pregnancy, I was very taken aback. I was like, I'm not even that old. I don't feel that old. Yes, my son is 13, but it was just very surprising to me to hear that phrase, geriatric pregnancy. They say also advanced maternal age, and it's like, that's not any better, honestly. Geriatric pregnancy just refers to any pregnancy where the pregnant person is 35 years or older. I will preface this video with saying that my pregnancy, while mildly annoying and inconvenient to me in some cases because I have a really big problem just not being in control of my body, it's part of my whole mental health journey, was fairly easy. There are some things that I would change, we'll get into that, but it was definitely not problematic. There are some increased risks that come with having a geriatric pregnancy or being advanced maternal age. Of course, you and your doctor will talk through that and all of that, but I was just going to kind of go through all those risks and let you know how they pertained to my particular pregnancy. Number one, gestational diabetes. Of course, you're screened for gestational diabetes throughout your pregnancy, no matter what age you are or your situation health-wise or whatever. In the very early stages of my pregnancy, they did do an early screening just to kind of get a baseline. So with my PCOS, it could affect my blood sugar. This is something that we've monitored for years. So I had one extra diabetes screening than most people would. All of my screenings for gestational diabetes came back normal. Nothing was ever heightened or concerning or anything like that. So while it is considered a risk factor of a geriatric pregnancy, this was not anything that affected my pregnancy. Now with my PCOS, I think I've shared this before on this channel, I manage my PCOS with a supplement called myo-inositol dechiro. I don't even know if I'm saying it correctly. Very early on when I first found out that I was pregnant, I did review all of my medications and supplements with my OB, my midwife, just like you would for any pregnancy with any medications that you're on. We both looked into the inositol just to see was it still safe to continue taking. And we actually came across several different research studies that show that it can actually help to keep gestational diabetes in check and help prevent it, and also help prevent preterm birth. Ultimately, the decision was made to continue taking that. I don't know if that in any way actually contributed to me not having gestational diabetes. One of the other risks for advanced maternal age is high blood pressure. This is something that we monitored throughout my pregnancy, kind of checked all the time, and never really had any sort of issues with escalation or anything like that. There is a risk of preterm birth as well. And with my first son, I was 2 weeks overdue, and I still had to be induced at 2 weeks and I think a couple of days. There wasn't really any history of early birth or anything like that, but because of the geriatric pregnancy situation, they really wanted to monitor and make sure that there was no other factors that could help contribute to preterm birth. Baby boy here was actually born at 41 weeks and 4 days, and I still had to be induced. So did not have any issues with preterm birth in this situation. Another thing is that there is a higher chance of a cesarean section with this. I don't know what the research behind that really consists of, like if there were other complications or if it just because of all of the above with the high blood pressure and the gestational diabetes and all of that, if maybe those things are contributing to the higher instance of cesarean section, but that was not my experience. I was very close to having to have a C-section, but we will cover that in my birth story video, which is all sorts of drama all on its own. Keep your eyes peeled for that one. As someone who gets pregnant over 35, your baby is more prone or more susceptible to chromosomal conditions. They do provide screening for this. Some insurances cover it, some insurances don't. My insurance covered one of them, and the other one was considered elective, so it didn't cover it. I would rather know and be prepared for any situation that might be a little different than what I was originally expecting than to not know and be surprised and be unprepared. I don't feel like it would be helpful for the new baby or for us as new parents to not be prepared for a situation that could be very different than what we were expecting. And then finally, of course, there is a higher risk of pregnancy loss. This was not my case. I have had 2 pregnancies and 2 live births. I know that I am very lucky in that. So we've already discussed the risks. And when I had the conversation initially with my OB, she also gave me a list of precautions to follow. And this may not be even a comprehensive list, but these are the ones that I remember. These are the ones I wrote down. You know, with any pregnancy, honestly, these precautions are all applicable to every pregnancy. I don't know if they're stressing them a little bit more if you are over 35. The first precaution, and this is with any pregnancy, all of your regular prenatal care. Nothing really changed as far as those appointments. They were still about a month apart for the first several months of my pregnancy. Then as we got closer to my due date, they were every 2 weeks apart. And then, you know, for the last month or so, after 34 weeks, they were a week apart. That, I believe, is the same no matter how old you are with your baby, unless for some reason there's some other risk factor that puts you at high risk pregnancy. Another suggestion to help prepare and keep my body ready is to follow a healthy diet. And most of you who know me or follow me on Instagram know that I've been really trying to work on a healthy lifestyle and making sure that my body is healthy and can support me through life. Within the last year prior to becoming pregnant, I had actually managed to lose 65 pounds. So I tried to maintain a balance of proteins and vegetables and fruits and whole grains. Obviously, when you're pregnant, you have cravings. It's not healthy to ignore your body and what it thinks it needs. So I did give into cravings throughout my pregnancy. Within reason, there was a lot of potatoes. There was, quite a bit of chocolate, but definitely try not to go overboard with the craving. A healthy diet kind of leads into the next precaution to take: healthy weight gain. It's recommended to gain between 25 and 35 pounds during your pregnancy, just as your fetus grows. And at my last appointment, I think I was right at the 35-pound mark. This is something that we monitored throughout my whole pregnancy. My weight is a huge point of anxiety for me. It's something I'm definitely working on. I would always tell the nurse, please just don't tell me what the weight is. I don't want to know. And I'd already established with my OB, just tell me if I'm still within the healthy range. If I'm not, we'll deal with it from there, but don't tell me what the number is. I don't want to know what the number is. Throughout my whole pregnancy, I managed to actually stay within that healthy weight range. And just as we were progressing, the amount of weight that I gained at every appointment was kind of on track. Now this next one is one that I think I would change a lot, and would really be more aware of, and that is to stay active. This was really hard for me because of the timing. I think if I'm looking at the timeline of how things happen and how it like broke down, right around Christmas I ended up getting COVID. I was the only one in the household who got it. It was a very lonely Christmas. With having COVID, I didn't want to do anything. Like, my body hurt. Like, I couldn't physically be active. And then after that, being active was really difficult just because breathing was harder. Yes, I was pregnant, so there was some of that to contribute to it, but it was such a drastic change. As we get farther into my pregnancy, my physical activity just kind of falls out. Like, it's like slowly falling away, and then it's just like gone. Thank goodness for my smartwatch, by the way, to tell me every hour, like, hey, you should get up. So that's pretty much the extent of my physical activity as we got closer to my due date, is my watch yelling at me and me going, okay, I'm going to walk to the far bathroom this time instead of going to the one right outside my office. I definitely should have stayed more active during the whole pregnancy. And then the last precaution that is on the list of recommended precautions kind of actually loops back to one of the risk factors, and that is to consider chromosomal testing or chromosomal screenings. Which, like I said, we did opt to do those screenings just to make sure that we were prepared in case anything were to be different than we had originally expected. We wanted to be prepared so that it gave us as new parents and the baby the best chance in the early part of, being earthside. So you never want to be told that you're too old for anything, obviously, especially not to have a brand new baby. That just seems so crazy. I will say it was weird to have to look at things from a different perspective. I felt like the emotions around becoming a mother of a newborn again were kind of clouded by this feeling of, I'm too old, I need to be cautious. And I don't think that that's really something that we should be making moms feel. This video is probably not super exciting. The next one hopefully should be. It is my pregnancy story. I hope that you will join me next time I post a video. Again, I'm not promising any specific regularity here. Let me know down in the comments if you also were considered advanced maternal age with any of your babies and what your experience was there and kind of how you managed it. Like, let me know what you found to be super helpful. These are things that I really wanted to know when I was in my pregnancy and kind of searching for information. If we get enough information in the comments, maybe I'll make a follow-up video about other helpful tips that people had to help manage that. But again, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to continue hearing about this different craziness of my life, go ahead and subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.